Good evening. It is Wednesday, August 30th, 2023, and coming to you from Studio 1A at Lonely Tree Media headquarters in Yakima, Washington. This is the Best Lamm Sports Show. I still like that one better.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not bad.
I mean, I got a lot of options. I mean, we can get a lot of different things for free, a lot of audio, but I just like the jazziness of, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm your host, David Lamm. With me is my son Parker. Say hello, Parker.
Hello, Parker.
All right, there you go. You know, brief applause. We got to go. We're late. I mean, we're late today because it's my fault. I mean, it is. I
wasn't gonna say anything.
I wasn't quite ready. But I'm ready now. So I'm on fire. I feel like this is going to be a good show. I don't know. And it's in between. We were going to do NFL football today.
Right.
But we're not. We're going to do it next week because it's like the day before
The start of
opening day. Yeah. So
rosters will be set on Wednesday of next week. There probably
Right.
won't be more trades before game day, so
Right.
it'll be the most complete picture.
Right. Next week we'll actually have a good idea of who our fantasy football teams are, which
It's true.
is always fun to talk about because that's coming on Monday, right? Or Sunday.
Yeah.
Is it Sunday night?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Anyway.
It's early next week.
Right.
I think it's before Wednesday.
It better be because Thursday is the open day. We are on YouTube. We're on Facebook under the Best Lamm Sports Show. You can send us an email, lambsports@gmail.com. Please check out our webpage. You can find the links to the past shows and the current trivia question always on lambsports.com. A lot of stuff to talk about. 49ers and Cowboys have a trade. Still some big NFL names that are holding out, waiting for more money. Whether they get it or not remains to be seen. The Liberty and the Aces giving us a WNBA Finals preview, perhaps. We got Formula One in the Netherlands. And rain, which is always supposed to be good. I mean, not, how do I phrase that? It's good for watching, not necessarily good for the drivers.
Right.
Yeah. But first, we got the trivia question because I'm doing the Stone trivia question early. Are you ready?
Yes.
Stone Wine Estate trivia question is F1. Are you ready for F1 question? Because this is good.
Sure.
Okay. There are 3 F1 racers in the current season who have a chance to score points in every race this year. Right? Okay. Since 2000, aside from those 3 racers, only one racer has ever done that.
Has scored points in every
In the
race.
last 24 years, has scored points in every race.
So do you want to know who the 3 are and the 1 is?
I don't care who the 3 are. Who is the 1 and when did he do it?
Can I guess now?
Sure.
I'm going to go with Lewis Hamilton.
No, hold on. Back up. Lewis Hamilton is included in these 3. This year,
so there's one person outside
of those 3. Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, and Max Verstappen have a chance to do it in every race this year. There's one more driver in the last 24 years that's done that. Who is it?
Let's go with Sebastian Vettel.
That's a good choice. It is wrong.
Oh,
You want the answer now or at the end of the show?
can you give me a time frame and I can go from there?
Early 2000s.
Oh yeah, I might not know.
Yeah,
Yeah, what's the answer? What is it?
It is. Well, see, I've got the answer. So I got to go down here and I got to pull up the answer because I got to actually show you, right?
Sure.
Okay. It is Michael Schumacher in 2002.
He was gonna be like a dark horse. I was gonna guess one of those big 5 of Formula One racing names.
Yeah, he did it in 2002. I was looking because I thought, wow, they're going to score points in every race, and there's 20-something races. Back in the day, in 2002, there's only like 16 or 17 races. So, you know, the odds of you doing it were better, and yet still no one did it. I was sitting here going back all the way to 1999, and he was the only other person else. Lewis Hamilton did it twice. He did it in 2017. Let me get it right. And 2019. and he has a chance to
It's
do it
funny
again
because
this
I
year.
was going to guess 2018 when you said the person in the year. I was going to guess Lewis Hamilton 2018.
Right.
So I would have split those two, but it was around that time, that super dominant period of Mercedes.
Yeah, and he's so this would be if he did it this year, it would be 3 times.
Yeah.
Which you feel like this year has been bad for him, but it hasn't been that bad.
Mercedes is better this year than they were last year.
Yeah.
Markedly better.
Despite what Toto Wolff might tell you.
Despite what any driver might tell you when they're not winning.
And that's true. When it's not going well, they're definitely going to.
I love that you got guys in second place and they're like, this car is shit. I can't drive it. And you're like, dude, you're in second place.
Well, yeah, and second place this year is first loser, I guess, because Max is killing people. But yeah. Anyway, we'll talk about Formula One at the end. It's last. All right. Let's talk about the College World Series, the Little League World Series. El Segundo, California beat Curacao 6-5 on Louis Lappy's walk-off homer in the 6th inning to win the Little League World Series on Sunday. It was the 8th title for California, which is the most by any state. I thought about putting that as one of my trivia questions. Little League World Series trivia question.
That would have been tough for me.
Yeah, I know. It would have been tough for anybody because those are not easy. Originally, by the way, it was it's held in Pennsylvania, and Williamsport, Pennsylvania, and it originally was Pennsylvania teams. There was Pennsylvania teams for like the first 3 years. It was a Pennsylvania team against whoever, and they won it. And then pretty soon when they started inviting all of the states, and then it was just a United States thing, and then it became international. And when it became a United States thing, when it was all of the states, Pennsylvania didn't win it again.
Interesting.
Yeah. So New York State, California, Texas. Those are the big winners in terms of states that have won a bunch. But you'd expect that. They got a lot of teams. Big states. Right. Yeah.
What I hate about the League World Series is when you look at their bracket, their official bracket, it's like Mountain versus Metro, Southwest versus Mid-Atlantic, Mid-Atlantic versus New England, Mountain versus Great Lakes, Mexico versus Japan, Latin America, Caribbean, Asia Pacific. And then when you watch the games, it's like Curacao versus, California. It's like
right.
That's not the names of the teams on the scoreboard. It's Caribbean and West.
The problem is that they have those
multiple teams in a division.
Well, they have the winners of each region. So like the West, right? There's a West region winner. Except there's also a Northwest and a Southwest and a Northern California and a Southern California. And the Northern California and Southern California play off to see who's the West winner. And so, there's all these winners. And it gets hard. Caribbean makes sense, but you don't know which country it's from, except it's been Curacao the last 3 years, by the way. Which is weird, right? Curacao is this tiny little country. Off the coast of Venezuela.
They do baseball,
but they do baseball. So,
I thought it was I think I watched the Curacao Mexico game.
Yeah,
and I think I remember Curacao was up and Mexico started to rally big time, and so then Curacao put in this boy. I say boy loosely because he might have been 40. And he was throwing like 80-mile-an-hour heaters and just ran them out of the game.
We're gonna need to see a birth certificate.
Right? What is that movie? The Benchwarmers, where he hands them the thing. It goes, "I am 12."
Yeah,
with like a $40 bill inside.
You're gonna need. And it's and not to say that hasn't happened before. It's happened before in Little League. You know what I mean? So
the problem is baseball has to be treated like youth baseball has to be treated like weight classes because one 12-year-old is not the same as the other 12-year-old.
No, it is not.
And so just on pure physicality standpoint, it's not fair.
And it used to be, so Little League baseball rules, especially in the World Series, used to be that you had to play everybody. Everyone had to come on the field, right?
They call us the trophy, the participation generation.
Right. So they had to put everyone had to play. Everyone had to come on the field at some point. Now they don't do that. Everyone bats. So everyone's in the batting order. Your whole team is in the batting order, but not everyone's playing. So you might have 12 players on your roster. They all have to bat. So they bat in order, whatever your batting order is. You still have to put out a batting order. but
Yeah.
but they don't have to play in the field, which means you don't have to make substitutions to get a guy in to play an inning, which is
Right.
good and bad at the same time. It's weird to me. It makes it weird. So a lot of teams have cut down their rosters. So instead of carrying like 15 players, because you don't have to bat them all,
Right.
12 is a good number, right? I got 3 reserves, and guys that can play multiple positions are important, that kind of thing. I will tell you this: I am still upset from not making the Little League Baseball All-Star team when I was 12.
Well,
Still hurt about it. I played first base on a team. I hit like 400. I played first base on a team that made our league championship game for the whole season, and for some reason I didn't make it. However, 3 other coaches' kids did make it.
Dun dun dun.
Right? Surprise, surprise.
I was just listening to the radio this morning. They were talking about nepotism in sports, and how sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, and how sometimes people just go, "Oh, that's okay." Like in the case of, because I live in Colorado, it's all local. Like in the case of Shadur Sanders, they're like,
right.
"Oh yeah, coach's kid. He just came in." He literally in one press conference went from everybody has to earn their spot to that's your quarterback right there.
Right, right.
The same press conference he showed. We're gonna work hard. You're gonna earn it.
If you don't like it,
he's already earned it.
If you don't like it, there's the portal. Get out.
There's the portal, but that's your guy.
But yeah, is my guy.
So when I think coaches' kids, that's not surprising.
No, and I suppose it shouldn't surprise me. It was weird because how do I explain this? And I'm gonna sound bitter because I am. But when I was 14, playing Babe Ruth baseball, right? So it's 13, 14, and 15-year-olds, right? When I was 14 playing Babe Ruth baseball, I hit 500. I struck out 1 time in 18 games.
That's okay.
It's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
I didn't make the All-Star. I didn't make the first All-Star. I made the second team. And I was disappointed. I was like, you got to be kidding me. There's guys on this team that I struck out as a pitcher, and I'm not a pitcher.
Yeah.
And I know they're not as good as I am. I know
there's
they're
probably
not
definitely guys on there who were batting 350.
Yeah. I hit 500. I mean, when you come up, if you were in the Major League Baseball and you had a guy who hit 500, you'd walk him every damn time he came up.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's that. I'm not bitter about it, but I'm angry.
It happens.
I don't know. I mean, whatever. So I'm over it. It was 40 years ago. So whatever. Never gonna be over Macho Grande. No, I don't think. You ever watched Airplane?
A long time ago.
Right. When I think it's Airplane 2.
Probably didn't watch that one then.
When it's the courtroom scene, and he's talking about the flight thing where they were on a mission over Macho Grande, and he says something about what happened, and the attorney says, "Over Macho Grande," and he goes, "No, I don't think I'll ever be over Macho Grande." Anyway, so
stupid.
I know it's dumb. It's great though. Let's talk about college football.
Okay.
Because we can, and this is what we do on this show.
And we should.
Let's talk about the fact that the Notre Dame beat Navy 42-3 in Dublin, Ireland. And I will like this. I will say this. This is the only good thing about that game. On the uniforms of both Navy and Notre Dame, if you look at the picture that's on the screen, they have the little Irish, what do you want to call it? The decorations on the sleeves.
Right.
Yeah. What's it called? It's called never mind. Anyway, I like that. I think that's great.
What I'm trying to understand is what Navy has to do with the Irish.
It doesn't, but Notre Dame does. And that was just the first game.
I understand the Notre Dame part, but like the Navy parts, I don't know. Every time I see it, I'm like, okay, what's that all about?
It just happened to be the first game. In there? I don't know. It just happened to be the first game of the year. Navy is one of those teams that is bound by a bunch of restrictions because they're a service academy.
Sure.
And you mentioned it at some point in time that maybe they should be in their own league, or the other teams that play against them should have some sort of restriction.
So yeah, basically they're playing with a handicap.
They are.
I'm pretty sure the official word I used was build a wall. So
This is this is a red state broadcast, just in case you're asking. I Sam Hartman is the
Old,
quarterback for Notre Dame. By the way, he's in his 6th year as a senior.
old Sam.
How I'm getting tired of quarterbacks playing 6 years worth of football. Are we going to get rid of that? When does the COVID year exemption expire? Is it next year? Is it this year?
Well, you technically have it forever
Until you use it, right?
until you use it.
Okay.
That being said, there are time frames that you have to complete. You have to be actively pursuing a degree.
Okay.
So if
makes sense.
you've already gotten your master's, then what's left?
Right.
Like
PhD.
Yeah,
Dr. Hartman, calling Dr. Hartman.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So I don't know how long it'll last. I think they expire at some point, but I don't think it's soon.
Okay. I like the idea of the Irish playing in Ireland to start the season. I do. I think that's great. Is it good for college football? Probably not. I mean, it doesn't really matter. You're not going to get a crap ton of Irish viewers watching college football from having a game every year there. I don't think.
Yeah,
but
I don't think it changes the course that much.
But I like the idea. I do. I like this being a thing.
Do you like sports being in foreign countries? Like, do you like it when football goes over there and stuff like that?
Not all of them. No, I don't think that's the thing. This I like. College football is an American thing. There is no college football in Ireland, in any other country, right? There is football in other countries.
I was just about to say, well, there's university football.
I mean, I don't think they're playing. I don't think Oxford and Cambridge are playing football. It's not how it works. They play soccer maybe, and they row definitely, but they don't play college football against each other. That's just not a thing. So I like the idea of bringing college football and making it broader. I'm okay with that. And the fact that the Irish are playing in Ireland, that just makes sense to me.
That does make sense.
Yeah, I get it. I don't like the NFL saying, "Oh, we're going to play a game in Mexico." Why?
Big Mexican fan base?
What are you hoping for? You're hoping a whole bunch of Mexicans are all of a sudden going to watch NFL football?
What do you mean all of a sudden? They're playing there because it's happening.
I don't think it's that big a fan base. I don't think it's that big a deal. If you played in the USA, played soccer there, that's a big deal.
You're trying to tell me
not
that the NFL, one of the biggest, largest money-making entities in the world, is just like, let's do this throwaway game, one of the most dangerous cities on earth, for a loss.
I'm not saying
because might as well.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I don't think you're getting in as many viewers as you think you are, NFL. I don't think that's a big a deal. I don't think that some random guy in Mexico goes, "Oh, the NFL's here? Well, I'm an NFL fan." I don't think that's happening.
Well, I mean, look at the games that go to Mexico.
Yeah.
Who's playing?
Raiders.
The
Texas,
Raiders
I get.
Cowboys, things like that.
Yeah, if you're close to the border, maybe. Okay.
Yeah. There's plenty of teams. The Texans have gone down there and things like that.
I don't think it's that big a deal.
I think that their attendance at those games kind of says that there's at least enough interest to keep trying. Right? I think that's where it's at. It's like they're like, okay, this might not be the greatest thing on earth, but I mean, I don't know what when the last Mexico game was or who played in it.
I don't know. I don't know.
But they play in that really, really big stadium down there.
Right.
And they fill it.
Do we think that the Dolphins and the Bears playing in London is attracting English viewers?
I don't know, because they're selling out stadiums when they do it. Maybe it's good as a novelty thing.
Right.
But that's fine. Is that not fine?
And I guess it's fine. It's just not, it's like a one-time deal. It's okay, great. It's like when not long ago they had, like in Eugene, they had Paris Saint-Germain and somebody played soccer. It was like an international soccer game. It had nothing to do with the United States. It was two teams from outside the United States playing soccer. That's a big deal for one stadium, for one day. But it's not it's not like you turned a whole bunch of Oregon Duck fans into Paris Saint-Germain fans. I don't think that happened. I'm just saying, I get it. I understand why you're trying to broaden things. I don't feel like it's that big a deal. That's all. And maybe I'm wrong, but I don't. I'd have to see some numbers as to why you think you're. And maybe it's just jersey sales. Maybe it's whatever. I don't know.
Right.
But playing in Azteca Stadium in Mexico City is that?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it holds 100 and whatever thousand. It's huge, but I don't. If you didn't have the Raiders in Houston playing, would anybody watch Green Bay and the Giants there?
No.
Okay, so why? I mean, you're not converting any new fans. You're converting the same fans who would have watched the Raiders and Houston anyway.
What you're doing is testing the water for a potential future team.
Got it.
You're testing the water to
In
see,
Mexico?
do the Mexico Bandits, can they fill up the stadium every week?
Why they got
Banditos?
Okay, why they got to be the Bandits? I don't know.
Because that's appropriate. If they're not called the Mexico Bandits, I'm not rooting for them. That is an awesome team name.
I'm just asking why they got to be the Bandits.
Because that's a great name. It's, a
It's
fun
not
name.
bad. I mean, Banditos.
It's historically significant.
The
I
Banditos.
guess. I don't know. But yeah, if the Mexico Banditos, if they can sustain
Oh my god.
year over year a team, and yeah, when Green Bay comes to town, it's not going to be as exciting as when Oakland or San Francisco or when the Texans or when those teams come to town that have large Hispanic fan bases as it is. But that's what they're testing to see. Europe's another story because Europe, like I was just reading an article a few seconds ago that they were saying the NFL published stats saying that less than 3% of the attendance in the London games are Americans or American expatriates.
Yeah. No,
So-
right.
So
They're
it's all English folks coming to see
and
them.
yes, but I
And
said
they've bumped up the numbers of games over there, and the attendance hasn't dropped. So
And
they're
that's-
probably going to keep doing that
and that's yeah. And
until
that's
until they say, "Yeah, we're here."
and that's fine, and I'm okay with that. I'm not saying it's worthless. What I'm saying is you're going to fill a stadium for one day because it's something they can't see anywhere else. They
Right.
aren't getting that on a daily basis. What I'm getting at is you're not necessarily converting a Sheffield United fan into a Charger fan because
You're saying converted. You're
Well,
adding a
you're-
Charger fandom
you're
to a
at-
Sheffield United.
That's what I'm
fan.
getting. You're asking him to be a Charger fan now also. Is he going to do that? No, because he can't watch it any other day but that one day.
Well, I mean, yes, in that way. And so right now it's just built to figure out if it's sustainable.
Right.
Like it's not the biggest thing.
I'm
By
telling
the way, the NFL's highest game attendance of all time was
Sure.
outside of the U.S.
And because it was a bigger stadium.
103,000 people
Yeah.
went to see the Cardinals and the 49ers. Like that's crazy.
But that's
You couldn't get those. No, if you had 103,000 seats in a stadium here, you might not get it for an NFL team unless
No,
your team
you
just
would.
won the Super Bowl.
What's the largest stadium in the NFL? Do you know? I don't even know.
You know, I don't. I'm gonna guess probably either Mercedes-Benz or what's the Minnesota stadium? Minnesota City Bank or whatever.
U.S. Bank, I think.
U.S.
Isn't
Bank,
it right?
Yeah.
So the largest stadium in the NFL is MetLife Stadium,
Oh, nice.
right in New York,
Multipurpose,
right?
Yeah.
82,500.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm getting at is you're not. Yes, the largest attendance is going to be a stadium outside the United States because one day every year they play a game there, and those guys want to come see it. That's great, but there are no other games there, and the NFL broadcast is not necessarily picked up in those countries, so you can't necessarily follow those teams. Is what I'm getting at. It's the world is different now because everybody can follow anything online. I get it.
And see, that's where it's kicking. That's where it's kicking this argument.
are
in teeth,
those-
is that the highest streaming country for NFL football outside of the U.S. is Germany. So
Sure.
where are we playing games right now? In freaking Germany.
Do you know
What have
why?
you got?
Do you know why that is though?
Are you going to argue because of military bases?
Nope.
Why?
Because they used to have a league. USFL Europe had teams in Germany.
Did they have teams in England?
One, I think, or
So there's
yeah.
At one point in time, there was clearly a way to
There
start a
was.
thing,
There
yeah.
used to be. In USFL Europe, I thought was a great idea. I like that idea of having a league, a developmental league in Europe. I was all for that. I'm not for US based teams to travel to wherever, right, and play at 3 a.m.
I'm for it in the name of exploration,
All right.
in the name of figuring out if there's something
The
there.
whole-
Because if there is something there, then we
If-
can start an NFL Europe division of 4 teams that play their divisional games, or they play a bunch of local, or they're all their divisional games at once, and they go on the road and they play 4 non-divisional games, and then they come back and they play 4 divisional games, and then they go on the road and play their final 3 non-divisional games, and just kind of wrap up the whole year that way, or whatever the numbers are there. So
Right.
I'm for that. It's like there's an actual division there, but you can't know that it's going to be possible or sustained, or that people are going to show up until you test it out with some games.
But here's my problem. Okay, and here's what I'm going to tell you. The inaugural season of NFL Europe, which was the World League of American Football, 1991. Right? Founded in 1989. Their inaugural season was 1991. They played there until, well, they played there for 2 years. And then in 95, they came back and played there with 6 teams instead of 10 and played there for 12 years. If you didn't figure out in the first 14 years that this wasn't sustainable, why is it now?
Different ownership, different league.
It's garbage.
Yeah, the NFL is bigger. Everything's more connected. The world is more connected. Yes, I'm sorry that in 1991, when internet was not in 80% of households, this didn't work.
You didn't need the internet. The team was in your town.
Now. It's different now because you've got people from all over the world commenting on a Patrick Mahomes highlight. How many people were commenting on what was the Dan Marino highlights? How many people from Afghanistan were putting their 2 cents in on this cool Dan Marino highlight?
I don't know.
How many people from England were putting their? No one is the point. But that doesn't exist anymore. That barrier of approach doesn't exist anymore. Everyone can get to it, and if you can't get to the actual thing, you can live in any country and buy YouTube TV and get the Sunday ticket. I think there's a couple of restrictions to that.
Right.
You probably can't get it in what's it called, in the Middle East all that well. But if you have Twitter, you can watch all the highlights. If you have Amazon Prime, you can stream the Thursday night game. It doesn't exist anymore. So yeah, it didn't work then because the world wasn't as connected. But now that it's more connected, they have clearly, this is a business. If you think for 1 second that they have not found that this has generated enough interest worth flying 2 whole football teams and staff over there, and probably, I don't know if they rent the stadiums or whatever, but filling the stadiums with people and organizing this whole event, if you think that they haven't thought this through from a money-making standpoint.
Well, they have, I'm sure.
Yeah, and it's clearly been beneficial because they've upped the number of games.
What I'm getting at is it's a one-day thing. It's great.
Right.
But it's not a continuing thing. Otherwise, they would have a team there. And they're not doing that yet. They haven't put a team in Mexico. They haven't put a team in London. They haven't put a team in...
Well, Mexico wouldn't be hard.
But they're not going to do it. They're not going to put a team in Mexico. That's not going to ever happen. They're going to continue to play 1 game there every year, maybe 2, and it's teams that are near the border, and they're going to reap that.
I agree with you. They'll put it in Europe before they put it in Mexico.
No, they're not even going to put it in Europe because they had a league in Europe and they didn't succeed. They're not even playing there.
Did the NFL have a league in Europe?
The World League is yes, it's run by the NFL. The World League of American Football is run, and then it became NFL Europe. Absolutely. Okay. And there were teams. So
it expanded when?
2007.
Okay. So why are they doing it now?
I have no idea. That's my whole point.
Okay. So do you think
because one game works?
But your argument implies that they are so incompetent that they are not learning from their failure.
No, what I'm telling you is
the other argument is that they know more than you about this.
What I'm telling you is they learned that 1 game works. A season doesn't work.
They learned last year that 4 games work.
Well, but they're individual
the year before,
games.
No, 2017 they jumped to 4.
So they play 4 in the same spot?
I don't know about the same spot. They play 4 in
4
London.
International games, right?
They play 4 in London.
Okay. And maybe that's true. London had a team in the World League of American Football. London had a team. The London Monarchs were a team starting in 91, 92.
That's such a good name.
I know, right? And they had the Scottish Claymores, right? From 95 through 2004. That was a 10 years worth of team. What I'm getting at is they had these teams over there and that it didn't succeed. They stopped doing it. Why did you stop doing it?
Sorry, 3 games in London, 2 games in Germany.
Right. Why did you stop doing these games? Why did you stop this league? Because it wasn't profitable. That's the reason you did it. Otherwise, you'd be doing it still.
both games in Frankfurt are in back-to-back weekends. So it's not one weekend, it's back-to-back weekends in the same stadium.
It's still a limited time thing with 4 different teams, right?
You're not wrong.
Right.
But regardless of whether it's a brief venture out and then you come home, regardless of that, or whether it's steering towards actually wanting to put teams there, because the NFL has announced its intentions to start
it's not going to happen
in Europe.
Not going to happen.
I hear what you're saying. Roger that. Copy that.
Okay.
They've announced it. So
sure,
you can say what you want to say. They can say
their
what they want to say.
intent is whatever. They're not going to do it.
Yeah. No. Say they would like to. They would like to.
Do you know why?
Say. Why?
Time zone. There's no way to do it effectively because you're 8 hours ahead or 9, depending upon the season. There is no way to do this effectively and make a time zone thing because your teams are playing. Oh, we're playing on Thursday night, except it's Friday. And we're not playing on Friday because we've got to play on Sunday, and then we got a time, and then the next team that plays over there, right? Because your home games are this time, but your away games are this time. There's no way to do it.
Are they 8 hours ahead or 8 hours behind?
They're 8 or 9, depending upon which season it is.
Okay, so max 9.
9,
ahead,
right? 9 hours, yeah.
Not behind.
Well, ahead, yeah, ahead of us, yeah.
Okay, so if they played at 8 o'clock at night, broadcast at 11 o'clock. On the East Coast, or no, that's to the West Coast. Right?
If they play at 8, if they play at 8 p.m.
Yes, they play at 8 p.m.
If the game is at 8 p.m. in London,
yes,
then it's 11 a.m. here.
On the West Coast.
On the West Coast, right?
Okay, so there's 2 things at play here. Number 1, you can schedule a game to exist within your standard viewing hours on a Sunday.
Correct.
Not a problem.
You can, yeah.
East Coast games begin at 10:30.
Right.
So that's not a concern. All right. So viewership from a TV standpoint, not a concern. Yeah, they got to play later, but guess what? They'll figure that out. Arizona State plays every game at night. They have to, and guess what? Their viewership for their games isn't a problem.
Right.
12 viewership is another story.
Right.
Number 2, the other thing is, can you fill a stadium? And that's the most important thing. Can you fill a stadium routinely? So far, they've proven that's not a problem.
Let's back up. Can you fill a stadium 8 times a year?
Yeah,
not 3 or 1 or 2 or 4, 8 times a year.
Well, guess what? They're doing 2 games in Frankfurt this year, right?
Good.
If both of those are full, then maybe they'll do 3 games next year.
Right.
And then maybe they'll do 4 games a year.
There's a
reason. And then maybe in 20 years you're talking about a European team. And the flights don't matter.
There's a reason why in 17 years they haven't put a team there. They stopped World League of American Football in 2007. It's 2023. In 17 years, they haven't put a team there. There's a reason why they've done that. There's no reason why you can tell me any reason. There's no reason you can give me.
What is confusing about that concept?
In 17 years, after having a team there for a full season, you decided not to have a team there anymore? I'm fine with that, but the one game sucks for scheduling for the rest of the league. It is garbage. It is garbage for scheduling. You shouldn't have to go through that because these 2 teams played there. They need an extra day and an extra week off because they traveled to Europe. That's bullshit. That's garbage. That's what I'm talking about. If you want to have a team there, great, go and do that, but you're not doing that. You haven't done it in 17 years. There's a reason why they're not doing that. It's because of the scheduling. It is terrible. There's no way to make it fair to the rest of the league.
You're gonna love this. The league tried to get it in the collective bargaining agreement to open up to a new team this past bargaining agreement.
And no one voted on it. Why?
No. The Players Association voted against it.
Why?
Because they don't want to leave the U.S.?
They don't like the timing of it. It's bad. It's not okay. It's not even. It's not fair. Those teams, the one team that plays in London is on a different schedule than the rest of the league.
I completely agree with
garbage.
This.
And 8 times a year.
About a single team again, because that's not what I am talking about.
8 times a year.
One team in England is a bad idea.
So how many teams you want?
4 teams in Europe, a division.
It doesn't matter.
Is a different story.
You can't do that because those teams.
What do you mean you can't do that?
You can't do it.
Where's the cap?
Well, how come they haven't done it? How come they haven't done it?
How come they did it before?
How come they haven't? No, they did it before when it was a developmental league. How come they haven't done it with the NFL? How come the NFL doesn't have a league in Europe? Doesn't have a division in Europe? Why? Tell me.
I don't know. They decided not to.
Because it's not.
What's the problem?
It's not profitable, or the schedule's not right.
Okay.
That's why.
When did the Texans become a team?
I don't know.
Oh wait, no, hold on. I guess that's not. When did the Panthers become a team?
1990, 89, 80. I don't know.
Okay. How come they didn't have a team before that?
That's expansion in the United States. Don't talk about that. It's different.
No, so
different.
That's so
different.
much
different.
easier,
Absolutely
right?
different.
You're putting a team in the South. That's easy. It's easy money. We're cooking here. How come they didn't have it before that? Because it wasn't the right time for it. It's that simple.
It's not going to be the right time in Europe. You're telling me that they've gone over here and played a developmental league and explored all the options, and they're still playing games occasionally over there, but they haven't
all the options in the dial-up era. I don't want to hear it.
Okay.
They stopped in 2007. DSL just became a thing.
So you think that's why?
Now.
Okay,
if I've got advances in 17 years, and you're trying to compare now to then, like they're the same.
Okay, if I've got all the internet connections and I can watch every game, what do I need a team here for? I can watch it on TV.
It's true. That is actually a very fair point. You can put them anywhere. Put them in Japan for all the fucking care. Yeah,
that's weird.
But people like going to games because there's two parts to it.
They do
watch it.
They do like going to games.
Yes, I know. That's what I said earlier when I said there's two parts. Can
you
watch it and can you go to it?
However, nobody in the NFL, no player, wants to have that once a week. This team over here has 8 games a year where they've got to travel across the ocean. No other team has that. Why? That's not fair. That's not okay. The jet lag alone is enough to screw those teams up. That's not fair.
That is a horseshit excuse.
Okay.
Because
then why aren't they doing it? Why haven't they done it?
You do what I just said. You do your 4 teams in division, right? Well, first of all, you just have to have the money for people who want to do it, right? Because somebody has to buy a team. Somebody has to build a stadium or put it in an existing stadium. Somebody has to do that. There has to be an owner. The NFL just can't go, we're going to drop a team right there, right now. Somebody has to come to them with a business plan to put a team there. That's the start of it. So when Roger Goodell proposed it at the last CBA, that means that they had someone who did want to put at least one team. I don't know. It doesn't exactly say if they were going to put 2, 3, or 4, but it just says that they proposed to him about expansion into Europe at the last CBA, and it was shot down by the players' union. Right. But the point here is that somebody had to try. Somebody had to be available for it. So if you're wondering why they haven't done it, it's because Mark Cuban hasn't ponied up the fucking cash. It has nothing to do with Roger Goodell or the failed thing back in 2007. It's because there's no investor for it yet. Or if there is an investor for it yet, they're not ready yet. It's not the right time for it. Maybe they want to see more growth in the games. That's why we went from 2 games to 5 games. Or sorry, from 2 games to 4 games, now 4 games to 5 games. It's expanding right now. And I agree with you. If you have to travel over there that many times, that blows. No, that is terrible for anybody.
Right.
But if you have 4 teams, you play your 4 divisional games, maybe right off the bat. 4 divisional games. All right. So
6,
you're
Germany. 6. Right. Go ahead.
Well, I'm saying, it'd be 6. So you play your 3 divisional games, right?
Right.
So your 3 home games. Say you play 3 home games or 3, whatever. And then you travel to the States.
Mm-hmm.
And then you play 4 games in the States.
For a month?
Yeah, spend a month in the States.
Okay. You don't think that would get hard on the players that the other teams don't have to deal with?
Players go on the road for a month. I don't want to hear
it. No.
You make millions of dollars. I don't care about the fact that you have to fly in private jets and stay in damn 5-star hotels. It's not my problem.
It's different. If I have a 5-game road trip and it's to Dallas and Houston and San Antonio and Phoenix, and I come back to Portland.
I get what you're saying. That I will give you is fair because the NFL has garbage divisional structures that feature Texans and Colts and Jacksonville in one division. But yes, if they were all properly structured, which I'm assuming if you brought in another division, you might restructure some.
Maybe.
Things.
But when I'm in that NFL Europe division and I have to go to play the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Broncos, and the Raiders, oh my God, it's 9 hours just in time zone change.
You fly out after your game, all right?
Sure.
Don't get me wrong. You're flying private, so it's not 9 hours on a United Airlines flight with some kids screaming 2 seats away. You're flying private with trainers, with coaches, with all these people there for your attention. You get to where you're going, you buckle into the hotel, you deal with your awful jet lag for a day or 2, and then you start working through your normal thing. Most teams take 2 days off a week anyways, or 1 day's an install day and 1 day's an actual off day. So it doesn't really matter that much. And then you're on pace. And now you're in the U.S., only moving through time zones. I hear forwards easier than backwards. Only moving through 3 hours with the time zones, which isn't much different than the 2 hours with the time zones you were moving through in Europe. So it doesn't change much. What did the Stanford coach say the other day about flying? He says flying's not that bad. You take naps, you eat snacks.
Hold on. Where did the Stanford coach go?
He's talking about flying from Stanford to, what is he saying? He's saying Rutgers, I think.
Rutgers,
like that,
because to be a part of the Big Ten.
It's
3 hours.
Yeah.
That's not.
No, it's not the same. I understand.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, there's a way it works. It's not clean. It's not the perfect way. There's a way it works. Right now, players don't really like the idea, and there's no funding externally behind it. And I think it'll happen at some point. I'm not saying it's going to be soon, but they're expanding the number of games year over year, which indicates that there's some interest on a bigger scale than just one-off games.
So let's take it down a notch. We haven't even gotten to the NFL yet, by the way. We're talking about the NFL.
Supposed to talk about
no,
other things today?
we're not. Yeah, there's other things we're gonna. I mean, this might be it. This might be the whole show.
This is a fun discussion. You just don't know.
But here's my thing. Okay, so we're gonna take it down a notch. Your question was, am I okay with this happening with the games in other countries?
Oh yeah, I was referring to like these like one-off games,
right,
like the way they're doing them right now.
Right, and my answer was no. And
the way they're doing them now is kind of tough.
Right,
it hoses a team. Although usually they give you a bye week after.
In the right, and that's what you have to do. That's different. What I'm saying is, if you had a league or a division that was just this division, that would be different.
It makes more sense. Yeah, that's what I was saying too.
And I'm less likely to be angry about it. I am more angry about the fact that one team or two teams have to play here and then we have to give them a week off to play again because, we flew to London. Oh my gosh. I mean, that's what I'm getting at is there's, and that makes sense when you say the Players Association is the one that voted against it. That makes sense to me because the players are the ones that are going to go, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
The owners and everybody else are going to go, yeah, let's do it. The players are going, I don't want to do that.
But that's, I mean, can you really expect to have players to have that type of big picture sight with increasing development? And not that they should, right? I mean, they take hits to the head all day. Like, I'm not expecting you to think about more than a ball coming through.
CTA makes your decision making a little less. I mean, I don't know. Whatever.
I see here that the Bills had a series that was supposed to be in Toronto. That was supposed to be a 4-year series.
And that seems okay. Because that's even here.
Okay than
because the time zone's not different. The Bills are playing in Toronto's time zone anyway.
I said the Texans going to Mexico. That is the
Texans, and that's fine.
Mexico City is within the Central Time Zone, which is 8 NFL teams live in that.
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the one game necessarily in Mexico. I'm not okay with it in Europe.
I think you could put a team in Mexico, and you'd be fine in terms of everything.
I'm okay
if you want to do a one-off one team.
I
think Mexico is close enough to America. There's enough interest in football that you'd probably be fine with the Bandits.
If you try to do the Banditos, if you try and do a division, you're not going to be able to do that in Europe. It has to be in North America in order for you to do that because of the amount of teams, the amount of travel. That's all I'm saying. If you want to play these one-off games, great, except I don't think you're winning anything because in 17 years you haven't put a league over there. You haven't put a team over there. Why didn't you do that? If it was profitable and you liked it, you would have done that by now because you've been playing with this for a long time and you haven't done it. You haven't pulled the trigger. So there must be something wrong with it. I don't know what it is. Obviously, it's the players saying, I don't like it. And that's whatever it is.
Yeah, enough players said it.
There's a reason.
Or the people who speak for the players said it enough. Yeah.
Right.
And again, I think that single one-off team existing outside of the U.S. and Europe is an awful idea.
It's an awful idea.
Just to exist there all season.
We're on the same
division,
page.
That works. It works.
A division
but
could work better. Yeah.
You're going to be doing some weird things in terms of the way you play games. Yeah. And how you play them, maybe all of your 3 divisional games in a row, then travel, then 3 divisional games in a row, then travel. That's kind of strange. Yeah. Nobody really does that. But so there's going to be some weird stuff, but it's more doable in terms of the fact that you're only going to travel like 4 times a year.
It's like a COVID schedule almost, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you're going to go.
You have to play all your road games all at
series.
Once, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. We're going to travel.
I remember that when the NBA teams would go and they'd be like, "All right, Blazers are playing the Pistons 2 nights in a row."
Right. And
you could what?
And you could do it totally where you say, "Okay, we're going to play these 4 home games, 3 division and 1 non-conference, right? Home game, and then we're going to travel for 8 road games." Because we're going to come to the United States and we're not coming back for 2 months, and then we're going to play four more home games. I could see you doing that, except it's not fair to either the teams that have to travel to Europe or that European team, that one team that has to travel for 8 weeks.
Here's the thing I don't care about: is players' comfort.
And I know you don't, but they do.
Because they have, all the time you tell me how much of I'm a players person, and this is one of those ones where the D1 school, what was it, the D1 FCS school that I worked at, those players didn't need anything.
Right.
So I can imagine an NFL player, an NFL team that has to travel to London. Oh, boo hoo. You get to go shop in some of the coolest stores and go do some of the coolest things. That's a major PR moment for you and this whole team.
Sure.
Oh, that sucks, Aaron Rodgers. Guess what, though? You still get to play football on Sunday.
I get it.
Like, the ability to travel comfortably, it's possible now.
And by the way,
there was
folks,
a time when it was probably hard.
by the way, folks, NFL's next.
NFL's next.
We haven't even talked about it yet.
This was a preview of the
This was
actual argument
This was just
on expansion.
this was just a 20-minute preview. We've been on the line for 45 minutes. We've talked about 2 topics.
We
And
talked about the Little League World
1.5,
Series,
really.
and then this.
Right. Because we got a lot more things, and I know
We
this is-
started on college football, and it just took a turn. You know?
all right.
We can
so
steer back to it.
let's steer away from this for just a minute. We were on college football. Also, USC, by the way, number 6 USC beat San Jose State 56-28. You watched the game or no?
I watched the whole game.
What was your takeaway from USC? Are they the number 6 team in the country?
No. They gave up 28 points to San Jose, and they're supposed to be like they're supposed to be like one of the top recruited classes with some of the best of everything, and they gave up 28 points to San Jose.
It was 21-14 at half, right?
It was 21-14 at half. And don't get me wrong, they had a big third period, and everyone knows third period's where you make your money, both in the NBA and in the NFL. If you have good third periods, usually you're fine. But Caleb Williams had 278 yards. I'm telling you right now, 80 of that was what I would call you ever play pool and you make a shot you don't really intend to make,
Right.
and you're supposed to do a gentleman's thing and call trash.
Yeah, it was Taj Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
So Caleb Williams did a trash play.
Yeah, he didn't call.
And just hugged a ball up that he fumbled and managed to score a touchdown on it.
He didn't call backboard. No,
he didn't call backboard.
No, he didn't.
But so like right there, you take that one pass attempt and play out of it.
He's got 202 yards.
He's got what?
202 yards left. If you take the
76 yards
yard
on
pass.
17 attempts.
Yeah, right.
And it looks a lot different.
It's different. Yeah.
It's not bad, but it's a lot different.
His QBR was 85, by the way. Just his QB rating. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 18 of 25, 278. I get it, 11 yards average per attempt.
Yeah, but his backup was also an 85.
His Miller Moss was actually also an 85, by the way.
Yeah.
And he didn't throw a single touchdown. What I liked from this game was that San Jose State had a 198-yard passing. Cordero, the quarterback for San Jose State, was 21 of 38, 198 yards, 3 touchdowns. His rating is less. I get it because his average per attempt is only 5 yards.
It was more impressive because he did it against a harder team.
Exactly. And that's what I'm getting at. Where's the degree of difficulty in the rating? And there is none.
They outrushed him too, 198 to 160.
Yeah,
so.
Conley had 6 carries for 108 yards, 18 yards a carry. He had a 57-yard carry, but even minus the 57 yards, he was still 10 yards a carry.
By the way, this clip that keeps showing on here of the guy being upside down. Did you see what happened after that?
I did.
He gets up to shake the guy's hand, and the guy smacks his hand away.
Yeah.
And then they immediately score like 2 plays later, and you're like, yes,
move, right?
I know.
Yeah, right.
Like, you're such a good team. Why are you being like this way to these guys?
Be nice.
Or you want to be this way to Oregon? Fine. You want to be this way to Washington? Fine.
Right.
This is San Jose.
Yeah,
what did you just prove?
Oh, I'm a tough guy. Whatever.
Well, I'll tell you what you proved. You proved you can cough up 28 points as a defense. Congratulations, bud.
And by the way, Nick Nash for San Jose State, six catches, 89 yards, 3 of them for touchdowns. I mean, come on. Nobody else has got that stat on here. I mean, nobody has that stat line that's comparable.
Oh, that one that he caught that was to the right side of the goal, or the near side, I should say, when they needed it. Like, that was a great catch.
He averaged 15 yards a catch on 6 catches, 3 of them for touchdowns. I don't know what a receiver rating is, but his should be awesome.
Is high. Whereas Taj Washington has 2 catches for 42.5 yards, one of them for 76,
right.
The other for 9.
And USC, who is I don't know. Okay, I didn't look and see what USC was favored by, and I probably should have.
They were bigger favorites than that.
Let me go to the StatCast.
I want to say they were like 28-point favorites. Which would put them right at it.
I don't see it. USC was a 31.5-point favorite. So they failed to cover the spread.
So they were under, yeah.
Yeah. The over-under was 66, and there was 84 points in this game. Anyway, the whole point is, what I'm saying is, I didn't see anybody in USC that compared to Nick Nash on San Jose State. And
Yeah, who's that kick return guy?
yeah, okay, so Zachariah Branch. He had
Branch
one
Branch had it.
catch for 12
Yeah, he
yards.
had one catch, but
And yes, he had one gigantic kickoff return for 96 yards. The rest of the day, he had 3 punt returns, 66 yards. Okay.
So he had 58 yards receiving and a touchdown, and he had 12 yards rushing, and then he had a kick return for a touchdown. He did very multi-purpose.
Here's the thing. Yeah, and he had 4 catches for 58 yards. Here's the thing. I when they put it in the stats, what they say is, oh, he had this many all-purpose yards. Okay, 96 of those were one kickoff return. Okay, great.
And when you say all-purpose, you go, okay, 96 from this, 35 from punt return.
Right. Here's this and that and the other thing.
And then
you add them all together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, now you had to add them all together to make it sound like he had a great day. He did. He had one big kickoff return. Great. The rest of the day, meh. I mean, it was okay. It was good. It just wasn't great. USC had one sack. One sack against San Jose. San Jose State had 2. So are you telling me the San Jose State defense was better against the USC offensive line?
And the one sack that they had was that really busted play.
Right.
When he immediately tried to roll out to the right, and that end did not stop that guy.
Right.
That tackle did not stop that guy at all.
That's what I'm saying is you guys could only manage one sack, and which was a group sack, by the way. Again,
USC did not walk away looking impressive.
They did not look at. I mean, a 56-28 win is a win. It's good.
Right?
It's
if Oregon did the same thing, I'd be saying, yeah, that's great, but why'd you give up 28?
And here's my problem is that we're so involved in sports betting and the spread. Will later in the season you go, oh, USC didn't cover the spread against San Jose State. Nobody's going to say that. Nobody's going to cover that. But you didn't. You were a 31.5-point favorite, 32-point favorite, and you won by 28. Okay, you almost did, but you didn't. You didn't even cover the spread against San Jose State, who's going to lose probably to Oregon State this weekend. Maybe not.
They should lose to Oregon State,
right.
But
we'll talk about that in a minute.
There,
we got more about that in a minute. Anyway, that's all I'm saying. It just was weird.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. Let's talk about what's coming up this weekend.
All right. Good stuff.
I don't think I have. Let me see if I got it over here. Nah, that's not it. This it? This is it. I got to find the right thing, and then we got to go to the right thing because the right thing is not necessarily the right thing. This weekend. Here's what's coming up. The NCAA football games this weekend, by the way. These are all the top 25 games and every Pac-12 game.
Gotcha.
In time, chronological order. So Florida plays at number 14 Utah tomorrow night at 5 o'clock on ESPN. Cam Rising is not expected to play, which changes everything we said last week, by the way. Yeah. I said Utah was going to win the Pac-12. They still may.
Yeah.
I also said they would probably make the college football playoff. If they don't beat Florida, they will not make the college football playoff. So if they've got to rely on a backup and they don't win against Florida at home, they will not make the college football playoff. That's not going to happen.
Interesting. I don't know that to be true. Like a home loss is bad. Losing to Florida isn't necessarily that. Well, hold on now. Florida ends the season at whatever.
But they're unranked now.
I understand. Next week it's going to sound bad, but if Florida goes 10-0, they're going to be saying, "Well, number 14 Utah's only lost this season. What's to the current number 3 Florida?"
Here's my problem. Right now, you get judged on who you're playing. It's not what they did at the end of the season. Right now, in Game 1, Utah loses to unranked Florida. They're going to fall out of the rankings. They're going to fall out of the rankings. They're going to be 25th, maybe at best.
I don't think they'll fall out of the rankings if it's like a real tight loss.
If it's close, right?
Kind of like it was last year.
But my point is, you're not going to get judged on how good Florida is at the end of the season. You're going to get judged on whether Florida should have been ranked now. Because if you lose to Utah, if Utah loses to Florida, Florida will be number 12 next week. They guarantee it. They'll be number 15 at worst.
Yeah.
They're going to jump on the chart. Oh, it's an SEC team. They beat the best Pac-12 team, and they're going to be wham.
I understand that, but that's counter to the argument that we always have, which is that when we're looking at the end of they only look at the snapshot of the very end of the season. So if Utah is 12 or 11-1 on the season with their only loss to Florida, and Florida is 12-0 at the end of the season going into conference championship
Florida's not going to be
week.
12-0.
I seriously doubt.
Right.
They're probably not even going to win this game. But if that's the case, they're going to look at that snapshot of that moment and go, okay, well, Utah's the number 5 team in the country at 11-1, and their only loss is to Florida, who's the number 1 team in the country at 12-0. That's just how they're going to talk about that. Yeah, next week it's going to be like, dude, you lost to unranked Florida. You're an idiot. But in 3 weeks, it's not even going to be that.
It might not.
People only look at what's happening that week in that moment. They don't look back far enough sometimes. People have short memories.
I feel like you get ranked immediately based on who you played, not what you think Florida's gonna be. If Florida beats,
that's true. If they lose to Florida unranked, they're gonna drop big, and Florida's gonna raise big.
Right.
But if you go 11-1,
it's different.
You will be in the top 10. So
I get it.
Yeah,
but
I don't think Utah will. But
my point is, you're not going to fall based on what they think Florida is going to do. You're going to fall on where they are now.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Agreed.
and that always is the worst possible scenario for you to lose to a game.
Because you can drop heavy.
Right. You're going to drop big compared. Florida might go 12-0. What if they're the best team in the SEC? And they go 12-0, 13-0, they win the SEC. You're not going to get ranked on that. You're going to get ranked on the fact that Florida lost. You lost to Florida, who is an unranked team at home. And that's going to ruin your season. That's my whole point. Well, and it shouldn't, but it will.
So what the way you just said that, I think this is more about your phrasing than what you're actually saying. Are you saying that at the end of the season, when they're looking at an 11-1 Florida team, 12-1 Utah team who just won the Pac-12, and a 13-0 Florida team who just won the SEC championship, and they're going to go, yeah, but you lost to Florida in week 1 when they were unranked. I don't think that's going to happen.
And I agree, but I would say that Utah's going to lose a Pac-12 game.
Well, that's true. This is all hypothetical because they both can lose every game.
And they could, and they could. What I'm getting at is it will look worse because you lost to an unranked team.
It'll look worse next week.
Absolutely.
But the week after that,
it won't matter that week after that.
It doesn't matter that much. Yeah.
Yeah. What I'm saying,
you only have to deal with the fallout for 1 week and your big rate rankings drop, and then you have to work back into it. But if you go 11-1, if you go 10-2, you're in the top 10 of this college football.
I'm just gonna say it's classic Pac-12 for you to not have your starting quarterback in the opening week of the season when you're playing an SEC team at home, and you're gonna lose this game because you don't have your starting quarterback. Florida beats you at home, and now you're out of the college football playoff because you lost that game and you're going to lose one Pac-12 game.
It sucks. I agree.
Yeah.
It is appropriate. Yeah. By the way, a lot of people I work with are going to this game.
Yeah, it would be great. I mean, that'd be a great game to watch. I would go too if I was close.
I would love to go see it in December when Florida actually has to deal with the winter weather.
If it was, and then you know more about those teams, right?
Yeah.
Southern Utah at Arizona State. That's Arizona State's first game of the season. That's also Thursday. So tomorrow night on ESPN is Florida, Utah. Friday night, Stanford at Hawaii on CBS Sports Network. I don't know. I mean,
doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter.
Stanford will probably beat them, but it doesn't really matter.
And then Saturday starts the full weekend of college football. I'm pretty
good stuff.
Pretty excited to watch a lot of this, except Eastern Carolina plays at number 2 Michigan on Peacock. Really?
I mean,
come on.
That's not. I mean, what do you?
You got to have a subscription for that. Why is that not on regular?
This
TV?
allows you to play it at a certain time.
ABC says we're going to take Tennessee, Virginia. Fox says we're going to take TCU, Colorado. ESPN says we're going to take Oklahoma, Arkansas State. FS1 takes Iowa, Utah State, all at the same time. And NBC, Peacock, who you have to have a subscription for, not NBC, the regular, but Peacock is going to take the number 2 team in the country, as opposed to the other team. Number 20,
it's supposed to be an ass.
It's garbage. It's garbage. I get it, but will it be? It's the first game of the season, and you never know.
All I'm saying is when Oregon plays, and you can say
it's Portland State. It's different.
No. Hold on, not now.
All right.
I'm saying when Oregon was like number 2 in the country to start the season, and they played whatever garbage team they played. It was on Pac-12 networks. It wasn't ABC. It wasn't ESPN. It wasn't Fox.
Maybe
it wasn't
not
on any prime network. When you're playing garbage teams, you don't necessarily get prime time unless you're the SEC. Oklahoma is getting Arkansas State on ESPN. So.
I'm just saying Oklahoma's playing Arkansas State.
But even Ole Miss and Mercer. Hold on, ESPN Plus.
It's at 11 a.m. It's a different time.
You have to have that other channel.
Hold on. Because all those 9 a.m. games are the first games of the year. They're going to take those games. I would take that over any other game, no matter who else is playing at 11 a.m. Because Ole Miss is the only team playing.
I'm just saying, getting those big slots on those major national networks is hard. But
guess.
Oregon State San Jose is on CBS on Sunday.
Because there's only 2 games on Sunday.
But that LSU Florida State game's gonna be way better.
Oh, that's gonna be. But you can watch them both. You can watch them back to back, literally.
I know,
and almost there's like an hour in between, so you got time to go make wings and do whatever.
Right?
Yeah,
Isn't that
right.
Perfect.
I know. That's a great Sunday. I'm even off on Sunday. I don't even work on Sunday.
I don't mind the Michigan game being on Peacock because I have Peacock, so it doesn't matter.
I'm not upset about it necessarily. I'm just saying it's weird that the number 2 team in the country has to play on Peacock, as opposed to the number 20 team in the country playing on ESPN.
You want to watch a Messi game right now?
No,
it's on Apple TV.
Lionel Messi
is what I'm saying though. Hype doesn't necessarily void your contractual agreements, which Peacock is kind of new. It's only they've only started doing the streaming stuff like last year. So
their only game they have this whole weekend is number 2 Michigan.
I mean,
weird, right? Anyway, okay, let's move forward. Number 25, Iowa will score 7 points and beat Utah State 7-3.
Yep,
that's at 9 a.m. Mercer plays at Ole Miss. Ole Miss will beat them 56-7.
Hey, Mercers want to know. Don't disrespect them.
Yeah, Oregon will beat Portland State also 56-7.
Sure.
Ohio State plays at Indiana, which will be closer than it should be.
They always give a big line for Ohio State, and then that game is always tougher than they think.
I'm going to go with 34-20 or 17. 34-17, like an Ohio State win. And they'll go, yeah, but it's a Big Ten win. It's a big deal. Not really. Boise State plays at Washington. I think Washington is way better than Boise State at this point. I think that's a blowout. Rice plays at Texas. Texas is going to whoop Rice.
Whoop them.
Tennessee State plays at Notre Dame. We already know Notre Dame is pretty good. They're not great, but they're pretty good. They're good enough to beat Tennessee State by 4 touchdowns. Buffalo plays at Wisconsin. Watch out for Buffalo. Buffalo has a tendency to be good. Wisconsin, I think, still wins that game. You got a Pac-12 game, California at North Texas. California should win that. And then you got number 1 Georgia winning by 60 points at UT Martin or against UT Martin.
Surprised they even let them on the campus.
It's at ESPN Plus. That's not even on a. You have to subscribe to watch Georgia.
Yeah.
Nevada at USC is on the Pac-12 network.
Sneakier than it might seem, but USC should win.
Yeah, it's garbage.
Like the last one.
Kansas State should rout Southeast Missouri State.
True.
Texas A&M should rout New Mexico, but watch out. Texas A&M is one of those notorious overrated teams.
Yeah.
Washington State at Colorado State. I like this game. This is probably the best game on here that I've seen just now. You know what I mean? It's like I would watch this one. Even, right. Middle Tennessee plays at number 4 Alabama. Alabama by 50.
Didn't Middle Tennessee give somebody some trouble last year or the year before?
It was 2 years ago, I think. Yeah, but it wasn't that
they were within
close.
A score or two of winning the game or something like that.
West Virginia plays at number 7 Penn State. That might be a good game on NBC at 4:30. I don't know. I don't know how good Penn State is, really, to be honest with you.
You never do really know.
North Carolina plays at South Carolina, 4:30 on ABC. So I would flip back and forth between those 2 games and watch them. Northern Arizona at Arizona. That's a divisional thing. Northern Arizona's in the Big Sky, right? Arizona should beat Northern Arizona, but Arizona's not very good. And then Coastal Carolina, who's been pretty good for the last few years, at UCLA. That might be a better game.
MTSU beat Miami last year.
Miami, right? Yeah.
45-31.
Right. And yet we still think Miami's good.
Yeah, they're back or something.
Yeah. Coastal Carolina UCLA game might be a good game to watch. The late game on ESPN. Oregon State at San Jose State is going to be better than you think it's going to be. I would watch that. If I was you and you're off on Sunday and you're not doing anything, watch that at 12:30 on CBS. Yep. Watch that game.
It's actually one of the games I'm most excited to watch this.
Oregon State has the potential to be very, very good, but they also have the potential to be very, very bad. So you don't know what you're going to get yet. The LSU-Florida State game, Florida State played at LSU and beat LSU last year. Florida State got a lot of credit last year for beating nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why they're number 8 this year. So I kind of think LSU is going to win this game. But
yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, Clemson at Duke.
I would agree. I think Florida State's not that good. So
I don't think Florida State's the number 8 team in the country. If you rated them 15 or 16 or somewhere in that ballpark, I'd be okay with it. But they're not number 8. I think, and if you're looking at these, and we don't have the rankings. I don't know if I have the AP poll up here. Let me look and see if I got it. Aha, the AP poll, which is the preseason poll, right? There are a lot of teams on this poll that I don't think should be on this poll, or they're ranked way higher than they should be.
Right.
I think Ole Miss is one of those teams. Ole Miss is going to lose 4 games this year.
Most likely, they
Yeah.
seem to.
Right. Texas A&M is going to lose 4 games this year. Tulane is on this poll. Why is Tulane on this poll?
They had a hell of the end of the season last year, right?
And I get it. You're not the 24th best team in the country. Iowa is still on this poll, even though Iowa can't score more than 14 points in a game. Why is Iowa on this poll? You know it's coming. You know Iowa's going to lose 4 games this year, right? There are teams on this poll, and especially at the bottom, you know are going to lose 4 games. A 9-4 team or an 8-4 team at the end of the season should not be on this poll. It's just you shouldn't be. 9-3, okay. 10-2, yes, for sure. 9-4 or 9-3, 8-4, no, sorry. It's not good enough. It's good enough to make a bowl game, but you're also going to play in the Poulon Independence Bowl or Weed Eater Bowl or whatever it's called. Okay, great. I don't know. Who? If you look at this poll, if you look at this preseason poll, name me one team in the top 10 that's overrated.
One team in the top 10 is overrated.
Well, it should be easy. I think you and I are going to pick the same team. Go ahead.
I would say it's got to be USC.
Okay, I thought it was Florida State.
Well, they're 8th though.
8th,
like that's,
but I think that's
when
overrated.
When you give somebody like the way I see it is like Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, LSU, USC, Penn State. These are all teams that they want to be good.
Yeah, right.
And then the next group, Florida State, Clemson, Washington. I mean, Texas should be up higher, but Tennessee. Those are all teams that you're not banking on them being good yet.
Do you think Texas is good enough to be a top 10 team at the end of the year?
No,
okay.
I haven't believed that in a long time.
Okay, all right.
Were they top 10 at the end of last year?
Do you? I want to say no. Do you think Notre Dame is a top 10 team at the end of the season?
I think they can be because of their schedule. Yes.
But that's what
do I think that they are comparatively and talent-wise a top 10 team? Absolutely not. I don't even think they're a top 15 team on that front. But their schedule, let's see, they play Navy, cool. Tennessee State, cool. NC State's tough. Central Michigan.
Do you think Colorado has any shot at TCU this weekend on Fox, 9 a.m. Saturday?
They have the element of surprise.
They do.
That's what they got going for them. So come out and do some surprising stuff and see if you can catch them off guard, because TCU's bigger than you. They're probably faster than you. Yeah. They're definitely more cemented than you. Their coach has been there for a little while.
Right.
And, like they've got more culture, tradition, whatever the hell you want to call it. They've got more whatever it is.
Right.
And they just recently had success, so now they've got arrogance on top of it. So if you let them come out and play their brand of football, they're going to beat the crap out of you. But if you get a little tricky, if you do some fun stuff, if you go over their heads more than they're expecting, or you break off some runs that they aren't expecting, you can catch them by surprise. That being said, I don't think Colorado will.
All right, one last college football question. Yeah. Looking at the rankings, under the others receiving votes, if you had to pick one of those teams that was going to finish the season in the top 10, who would it be?
Isn't in there now.
Yeah, under other receiving votes.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pick somebody, and it's kind of a cheap one, but I'm going to pick Auburn.
Okay.
It's just how the SEC works. They're the most likely to climb and rise. If I'm not going SEC type homering, then Boise State could climb that high if they don't lose. You can't lose at all.
I think your best, and this is going to be terrible because I'm an Oregon fan. This is your best bet. If Texas Tech beats Oregon, Texas Tech has a chance to finish in the top 10.
I don't even want to think about that.
That's a gigantic win for Texas Tech. If
2
they
weeks
win
away,
that game, and I get it, yeah, whatever. But I don't think like James Madison or South Alabama or any of these teams that are Toledo.
Most of them, I don't think UCLA could rise.
UCLA,
this is all contingent on teams
Texas
winning and not losing.
Right, Texas, San Antonio. Come on, they're not a top 10 team. But there are teams in there that have the teams on the schedule that if they win enough games, they could get there. Texas Tech is one of them. UCLA is
Texas
one of
Tech
them.
is one of them.
Arkansas is one of them. Kentucky, right?
Auburn is of course.
Auburn is of course one of them. Yeah, you're right. Louisville
Auburn probably has the most shots to jump in.
Right. Duke, Florida, Mississippi State. Florida has a non-conference game against a ranked Utah team. If they were to be good in the SEC, they could also jump in. There are teams like Liberty, James Madison. They're not top 10 teams.
Right.
That's not happening. But I mean, anyway, I just thought I would ask. It's going to be a great weekend. Opening weekend's always a great weekend because you're going to have somebody lose. Okay, here's my question. Which of the top 25 ranked teams should be on upset alert this weekend?
Let's
go back to this. So there's the schedule for the top 25 and Pac-12. Which of the top 25 teams should be on upset alert this weekend? Which one of those teams should be going, you need to take some extra snaps because you might just lose?
I think there's two realistically. So obviously you have like your Colorado who you think like maybe they could do it, right?
Right.
Maybe if it's seeking up. But I don't think they will. I really don't believe it in any slight way. Virginia, Tennessee.
Right.
Is sneakier than it looks.
Right.
Tennessee's a 28-point favorite, but
I don't think they'll win by 28. I don't think that's the thing.
I think Tennessee will win. But I'm like 80% sure. I'm not like sitting higher than that. And then the other team is the team. The reason why I'm tuning into this game is San Jose, Oregon State.
All right.
And that's the other team that I think has the biggest chance of losing.
I would give you four games.
What you said one, and I gave you two. Now you're giving me four
because I can do that.
I would of course
I'm the host.
Expand. Okay.
Shh, I'm the host. Florida. Now that Cam Rising does not play.
Yes.
Right. So Utah should be on upset alert.
But that's not fair because is it really an upset when the other team doesn't have their starting quarterback?
It's kind of a gimme. I get it. All right.
Yeah.
I'm with you. However, I would also tell you North Carolina playing at South Carolina.
I did see that one earlier. Yeah.
That's
don't they still have Spencer Rattler?
Yeah. We're still talking about Spencer Rattler. Has he been playing for like 12 years?
Hey, this is the Duke's Mayo Classic, by the
way. Because have you ever had Duke's Mayo, by the way?
I have, yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oregon State, yes, at San Jose. I'm with you. I think that is probably one of the biggest upset alert watches.
When I think upsets, like I don't think 5 LSU beating Florida or 8 Florida State beating 5 LSU. That's not really an upset because the rankings aren't like so disparaged.
And that's the other game I would have said, but that's not necessarily like I said. Yeah, like you said, it's not a big upset. It just is a chance for an upset.
It's an upset in terms of just pure ranking, but they're so close together in the rankings. It's a 2.5-point game, which means even the bettors can't decide who they really think is going to win.
And as the sixth game, as a bonus game, if you want to talk about it, Ohio State at Indiana. If Ohio State hasn't figured shit out.
I mean, they did just announce their starting quarterback, so that's exciting.
I'm just saying, Indiana, you never know. It's a conference game, you never know.
I feel like I'm going to put Portland State, Oregon on there just for like good karma's sake.
That's not.
I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm putting it on there just so that way I didn't overlook them, quote unquote.
Okay. We've been on the air for an hour and 13 minutes. We've talked about 2 topics.
Well, one of them is really serious, and that was the Little League World Series.
It was, but that was only like 2 minutes, right?
It was a very short one.
So the Cowboys picked up Trey Lance. They traded a 4th-round pick to the 49ers for Trey Lance. Lance was drafted by the San Francisco, but they traded 3 first-round picks and a 3rd-rounder to move up to get him in 2020.
Full Broncos on it.
Yeah, they traded 4 picks for him and then got a 4th-rounder for it in return. I don't know. Brock Purdy is going to be the number 1 quarterback in San Francisco, right? Sam Darnold won the backup job somehow. And I don't think Sam Darnold is your guy. Why is Sam Darnold still in the NFL? Nobody can use him as a starter. He's not good enough to play NFL football. He's not good enough to start. But he's good enough to be a backup. Apparently, everywhere.
He clearly has some sort of value, right?
It's weird,
like,
right?
Maybe he simulates runners or something like that.
Am I wrong in thinking it's weird that he's just sticking around?
I wouldn't say that you're
because
wrong.
How old is he now?
I mean, he's not that old, right?
I mean,
he's probably like 28.
He's pretty old. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's pretty old.
He's not that old.
I don't know.
But he just graduated like the other day. He's 26.
26.
He's not that old.
He's not. All right.
He has been on 3 teams, and but being fair, who was he drafted by? The Jets.
The Jets, right? And then he went to Carolina.
Yeah, their darkest period.
I get it.
He went to Carolina, who then immediately brought in. Somebody else.
I'm just saying he won the backup quarterback position. Brandon Allen is third ahead of Trey Lance, who the Niners gave the whole franchise for.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's weird. So is Trey Lance going to be the answer? In Dallas as a backup quarterback, because I thought Cooper Rush was a good backup to Dak Prescott. I thought Cooper Rush last year when he played.
Yeah, won like 3 or 4 games in a row.
Good, and they shouldn't have replaced him. They should have left him out there. Anyway, whatever. I think
Sam Darnold, or not Sam Darnold. I think Trey Lance is not going to matter.
Okay,
he got traded to that team.
He's a nobody now.
It only cost them a 4th rounder. If they just bounce him, like, it doesn't mean much. You know what I mean?
How many more years does Dak Prescott have in Dallas?
1. If he does what he did last year.
No.
He has this year.
I'm not
if he did what he did last year.
I'm not telling you. I'm not asking you how many what I'm asking you is a definitive number. Do you think this year is going to be good enough for him to stay in Dallas?
Right. No.
Okay.
I think Dallas falls short again, and I think he's on his way out the door.
And if that's the case, do you think Trey Lance or Cooper Rush is the backup, or are they going to try and draft another quarterback? That's the question.
I think that they'll stick. I think they'll try and draft another quarterback. I don't think that they're going to lean on Trey Lance, but I think they have enough talent to where their focus should be more on. It should be more on trading for somebody who's already established versus trying to draft somebody.
Okay.
So I think that would be the wise bet. I think it would be wise of them to try and move Dak middle of this year. Find a quarterback that's unhappy with his situation and try and make some magic happen.
Okay.
Give them an offer they can't refuse and take Derek Carr from New Orleans or whatever, because they're not going to get one of the really good ones.
Okay. And so there's Brock Purdy, by the way. Let's talk about Colt McCoy, who got released by the Cardinals on Monday, who I thought was going to be the starting quarterback this year. Because Kyler Murray's out still, right? With ACL or injuries. I don't know if it was an ACL. I can't remember exactly what was his injury, but I thought for sure Colt McCoy was going to be the starting quarterback. And then they got rid of him. They picked up Joshua Dobbs from Cleveland.
That's such a good deal.
I guess.
He's smarter. He's one of those guys. So he sat behind Ben Roethlisberger for a while.
Right.
Because this is the guy who was at Tennessee, right?
Yeah, Josh Dobbs,
yeah. So he was there. He was really good there. He's a very smart quarterback. But then he went to Pittsburgh, and Roethlisberger just kept freaking playing, man. When are you going to get out of here? And when he finally got out of here, Dobbs' contract was up. So he went somewhere else. So it's tough. But I think Josh Dobbs is an upgrade over McCoy.
Okay. Maybe. Josh Dobbs fits the offense better than Colt McCoy because of the way Kyler Murray plays.
Right.
And I'm okay with that. Do you think the Cardinals, because of this, are in tank mode to get Caleb Williams?
I
do. FYI.
I do. I do, because I think you got a lot of good quarterbacks. But the thing is, you don't have to. I don't think Caleb Williams is that good. I don't know. But I don't know what I am missing, because I often think okay, these guys know something I don't. I try and watch more intently. I try and be more diligent about it, and I still go.
Let's back up and say, do you think they're tanking for the number 1 pick?
I do think that it's
and they can take whatever they want.
I don't think anybody starts the season looking to tank.
Well, if Kyler Murray can't play right off the bat, and he can't, how good are you?
Right. Well, the thing is, you also just paid Kyler Murray a ridiculous amount of money. So, is it even worth it?
I don't know.
To move on to another quarterback at this moment? What I'm saying is, I think that you're starting your season, right? You're gonna try and play hard, to start. And you're gonna try and get wins. And maybe Josh Dobbs gives you a better chance to do that, or something like that.
Maybe.
But maybe. But if it doesn't work after 4 or 5 games,
Right.
maybe then you start
Maybe.
tanking.
All right.
I mean, you've got Commanders and Giants out of the first 2 games. Like, those aren't easy, but it's not bad.
The Eagles released an Olympian and former University of Oregon wide receiver Devin Allen, who okay, maybe he's not the best receiver you got. He's got to be the fastest one you got.
He's up there.
Anyway, there's still some big name holdouts in the NFL, by the way. Nick Bosa in San Francisco is still a holdout. The Niners insist they're not going to trade him. Okay. But they clearly aren't intent on paying him right away. They probably will at some point. That's the question. Right. Chris Jones of the Kansas City Chiefs is looking for $30 million. Not sure it's going to happen because that $30 million is going to Patrick Mahomes. So,
but he's in a good spot because you just lost Frank Clark.
They got to pay him. They got it.
Like,
right?
You don't have any choice.
And I get it. And I get it. Yeah, they're going to have to pay him, but this is going to be the last contract he's going to get because next time he's going to want more money. He's not going to get it. So
exactly,
this is the last chance in Kansas City. And plus, you're in a championship zone right now. You can't afford to let one of those guys go from your championship team, your core. You know what I mean? You're in that zone where you're winning.
But as long as they've got Patrick Mahomes and Travis
sure,
Kelce,
maybe
you kind of feel like they're always going to be capable.
Jonathan Taylor, that's a weird one in Indianapolis.
The Colts are trying to hose him. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't think he should be asking out and things like that. I don't agree with any of that. But the Colts are also being like, nah, we're just gonna screw you over. You can run on a bench for all we care.
Right.
And that's such a crappy thing to do to the world. And by the way, this is why you draft your fantasy team right near the end, because there are people out there. The memes are flooded on X or Twitter, or whatever you want to call it, of people who drafted Jonathan Taylor last week.
Yeah, right. If you had your draft last week, you're doing it wrong.
And then now you find out, oh yeah, we're not trading him, and he's not going to play, and he's going to go on PUP. It's like, God dang it.
So, yeah. So last year, and Taylor was hurt last year, at least for part of the season, right?
Yeah.
If not all. I'm trying
I'm pretty sure he played quite a bit.
He played 11 games.
And then he got hurt, yeah.
861 yards was his haul last year. In 2021, he was the league's leading rusher, 1,800 yards. In 2020, he was third, 1,169 yards.
Yeah.
So he's been one of those guys. He's been there. I mean, he's only been there for 3 or 4 years. 3,000 yards in 2 years is pretty good. And yet, everyone's trying to devalue the running back for some reason.
I don't think anybody's trying to devalue the running back.
Indianapolis,
but they need to. Jim Irsay in Indianapolis definitely are.
Yeah.
But they're trying to devalue this running back.
For some reason, why? But why?
I just think something happened there. I don't think Jim Irsay is the most rational man.
No,
so
true.
I think that when Jonathan Taylor says, "Hey, I want you to pay me or I'm going to leave," I can see Jim Irsay slamming his hands on desk saying, "I will not be threatened by someone like you."
In 2021,
and that kind of garbage.
Yeah, and of course he had a DUI too. But that's beside the point. Wow, Jim Irsay.
Gotta bring up Irsay's Dewey.
I do, because that has to go with judgment.
When was his Dewey?
A couple of years ago. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when it was.
A whole bunch of years ago.
I'm gonna let you know I never had one. So I'm just gonna say, right? If you had one, so
but have you ever gotten
judgment.
drunk and thought, "Man, how fast can my Lambo go?"
It's bad judgment, is all I'm saying. If you have bad judgment,
I completely agree.
I know you do.
But like, I can just,
Here's what I'm gonna say.
Somebody who's not smart being like getting super hammered at a bar or at their house, and then looking out their door.
Sure.
Oh
my God! Look at that car. Yeah,
at their Ferrari that they just bought and go,
I could go 130 and slam into the back of this other car in Las Vegas.
Why do you got to make it darker? Stop.
I'm just
it was
saying.
Funny for a second.
Well, it was for a second until you realize that somebody else did that.
We don't know that he was drunk, right?
We don't know.
Speeding,
right. But he's not the one that died because Never's the driver. Jonathan Taylor in 2021 played in all 17 games, 1,800 yards, 600 yards more than Nick Chubb, who was in second place. 600 yards more. I'm going to repeat that. Also, 18 touchdowns compared to 8 for Nick Chubb, who's in second place, or second place on the rushing chart. 107 first downs. The next nearest person in first downs is 65, and that's Antonio Gibson. He had 40 more first downs. That's almost 3 a game. Jonathan Taylor was your offense. He was your offense, but you don't want to pay him. Oh my God, really? I'm just saying. Okay,
they're moving in a different direction.
It's weird. I mean, but you think you got a quarterback that's going to take all care of all of that for you? That's Will Levis. Okay. Let me see it, because I think you're without a running game, you're nothing. Anyway, there's that. So that's just my soapbox. I'm done now. By the way, Justin Herbert has been the number 2 passer in terms of yards for the last 2 years.
Woo, Herbie!
Yeah, he was behind Tom Brady in 2021, behind Patrick Mahomes last year, but he's thrown for 9,000, almost 10,000 yards in 2 seasons. Dude, just if you're a Duck fan, okay, that's your Duck stat for the day. Let's talk about a couple last things before we go.
Okay.
WNBA. Sabrina Ionescu scored 25 points, including 5 3-pointers. Breanna Stewart added 20. The New York Liberty beat Las Vegas, the leading Las Vegas Aces, by the way. 94-85 on Monday night for their 4th straight win. New York and Las Vegas are expected to make the WNBA finals this year. They've played 5 times already. Liberty have won 3 of the 5. The 9-point win by New York in this last game was the smallest margin of victory between the teams this year. So, wow. Yeah, the games have been blowouts either direction. 20 points, 19 points, 13 points.
I'll say the Liberty beat them the first game of the season or early in the season, like 99-61. Yeah, it was terrible.
30
They smoked them.
Yeah.
30 points. Jeez Louise.
That's ridiculous. So anyway, I think that's going to be. I think you're looking at the finals, and it's 3-2 right now, and that's the last game they're going to play this year. So who knows what we're going to see? But I think you have the 2 best. What are you going to call them? Super teams.
Right.
Yeah, in the league, because once they added Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu is going to be a star. I mean, she's a star already. She's going to be an All Hall of Famer. She's going to set the 3-point record this year. Anyway, you added Breanna Stewart to a team that was really pretty good already. And then the Aces have been just compiling a team, although they may not have been doing it the right way. They may not have been.
Maybe a little illicit compiling,
but we won't know anything about that yet.
Yeah.
So anyway.
And I watched some of this game. It was the Aces had it for a quarter.
And they were ahead by like 12 points already in like the first quarter.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like.
Yeah.
But then they just lost control of it right at the end of the first. And then it went steep. Right. I'm looking here in the second quarter, they got outscored 25-16.
Sabrina hit a 3 at the end of the first quarter. It made it 22-19 after they were down by like 10, whatever it was. Yeah. And then it was all New York after that. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to watch, because the other games I've watched this year, I've watched 2 of these 2 teams, and every time I went like, oh, this game's over. By halftime, this game's over. You know what I mean? It was a blowout, and it wasn't worth watching.
I wonder why that is. I wonder what it is about WNBA games that are making them so steep and so slanted one way or the other. By the way, Breanna Stewart went 0 for 7 from 3.
And the rest of the team was terrible from 3. New York
0 for 2, 0 for 7,
yeah.
0 for 2,
Oh,
0
they
for
were
3.
bad.
But then Sabrina 5 for 10.
Sabrina was 5 for 10.
Vandersloot 2 for 6.
Yeah, and then somebody was 2 for 2. Who was that?
Marine Johannes.
Yeah, Johannes. Yeah.
And then Stephanie Dolson was 1 for 1. So between those people, you look pretty good. Between the other people, gosh, your numbers are being held down big.
I mean, it is what it is. It's interesting. Let's talk about Formula One real quick, because we can't, because it's the last thing we're going to talk about. Formula, if you had to say it, like they do. So they were in Zandvoort, the Netherlands. It rained, not only during qualifying, but during the race, which I thought was going to bring about something awesome.
Something
because
fun, yeah.
yeah, every time I see the rain, I go, okay, this is great. Um, so you had rain, you had a driver breaking his hand, you had time penalties, you had bad tire decisions.
Drama.
You had two different downpours of rain during this race. One at the beginning, one at the end. It was bookends, right? The first one caused so much chaos. The second one they kind of knew was coming, but the first one caused so much chaos that we literally watched we watched Charles Leclerc pit to change his tires, and no one had tires for him. It was like, what just happened? And I'm sure it was because they didn't want to tip their hand and say, okay, box, and we're going to change tires. I get it, but your team's not going to win either the constructors, or you're not going to win the drivers' championship. So what does it make if everybody else knows what you're doing? Who cares? Just come in and do it, but be ready. Ferrari has looked so disheveled in the pit for the last, I don't know how long, all this season. Why even bother with? I don't know. It was weird. Danny Ricciardo broke his hand during qualifying. He came around a corner and saw that there was a car where he needed to go, and that was Oscar Piastri, who had already crashed. And he literally couldn't do much about it at that point. Goes into the wall and breaks metacarpal in his hand.
Sucks.
Right. I mean, dude. And so now he's out for the race. So there was that. In the end, what was missing was a different ending. Right? Because everything else was cool to watch, but the ending was, okay, it's Max Verstappen again. He won his 9th straight race, tying Sebastian Vettel for the record streak of 9. And Red Bull inched a little closer to clinching the Constructors' Championship. Fernando Alonso of Aston Martin was second. He's one of only 3 drivers to score points in every race this year. And that's Max, Fernando, and Lewis Hamilton, by the way. Alpine's Pierre Gasly finished 3rd thanks to a 5-second time penalty by Sergio Perez. He was speeding in the pit lane. There was a couple of guys that got that penalty. You can't even argue that.
Gotta slow down, boys.
You can't even argue that. You can argue all kinds that causing a crash or unsafe release, or you can argue a lot of the things that they give you a time penalty for. But speeding in the pit lane there's no way to argue it. You are doing it. Anyway, so Gasly finished 3rd. What'd you think of the chaos, the first downpour that happened, and nobody knew what to do with it? Because I was listening to the team radios, and they were like, "Okay, rain's coming. We just don't know how much we're gonna get."
Right.
And then
it's fun. That's because these races have been so incredibly boring.
Yeah.
That's so much fun. A chance for chaos and nutsness. Max Verstappen could wreck right now. He's not done that all year. This is awesome. Right. And then it doesn't happen. And then it just turns into the same damn thing again. Like, all of that just to get Max and Sergio in the top 4 and Fernando peeking his head up in there again. Oh, Pierre, that's a nice, breath of fresh air.
It is.
But Carlos and Lewis and Lando are all 5th, 6th, 7th. That's all about where they've been all year. I mean, not all year. I guess Lewis has usually been a little higher, and Lando recently has been a ton higher.
He's been good, yeah.
So it's like, but I mean, I'd probably guess that Lewis on the year probably averages 3rd, 4th, and Lando on the year probably averages. Well, I mean, I don't want to take that average actually. I don't want to include the first 10 races of the season into his average. But it just turned into a boring thing after such an exciting and promising moment.
Lewis's average is probably 4th.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I said 3rd, 4th because there was like a series of races there where he just kept being 3rd over and over again.
Yeah.
But there was also a couple of races where he was like 10th.
And he was 4th. He's 4th overall in the standings, but
that sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, he had at least, I don't know. He's had a couple of races at number 2. A couple of races at number 3, but I also had a couple of races at number 8 and 9, or 8 and 10, 8 and 7. So
he's been in the top. He's been in the top 10 every time. So
but he's had points every time.
Something.
He's had points every time.
Better than he can say for his 2022 campaign.
Right, and Fernando Alonso, right? He was second, 5 straight races to start the season. Yeah. I don't know.
And then
Or third, sorry, to start the season.
Then reality hit.
Well, and then he finished second in Monaco. He finished second in Canada. He finished second in the Netherlands with the fastest lap. But he also finished ninth in Hungary. I mean, it's been interesting. It's been up and down. After he had such a consistent first 5 races, it's been up and down. I don't know. I Fernando Alonso, their team at Alpine, if you could get rid of Lance Stroll, I think you'd be doing better. You could probably find another driver better than Lance Stroll.
Absolutely. But the question is it really like one person overachieving? Like if you replace Lance Stroll with like a Lando Norris, do you really get that much better?
I don't know, but Fernando,
it's hard to say because this is what we talk about with cars, right?
Right.
How is Fernando doing this, but Lance Stroll's doing that? How is this person doing that?
Here's my problem. This is Fernando's first year at Alpine or at Aston Martin, right? And we know that Lance Stroll has been there with his dad for what, 3 seasons at least?
Yeah.
And he's not getting any better. He's ninth. Okay. He's not great. But how could Fernando Alonso come from another team, jump into a car from your team, and be way better than you when your dad is here,
right,
funding everything? How is that possible?
But I think that just emphasizes how much a bad car can hold you back, right? But a really good driver can make the most out of it.
What I'm saying,
or can do better than you think they should with it, because Lance Stroll is probably not a really good driver,
right?
And the car is probably okay.
What I'm saying is, yeah, Lance Stroll, if you moved him out and you put, I don't know, George Russell, Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc in that car, it would be way better. He would finish a lot higher.
I also don't know that to be necessarily true because Charles Leclerc's had a lot of issues this year
but that's Ferrari.
That weren't pit related. He's had a couple races where he's made bad decisions, where he's wrecked,
True.
where he's had problems.
True.
He's had some boneheaded days too. And Lando Norris early in the season couldn't do anything with that car.
Charles Leclerc has 52 points more than Lance Stroll. Even with those decisions, that's what I'm saying.
I definitely agree that Charles Leclerc is a better driver, but what I'm saying is it is a balance that you have to strike between the car and the driver, and sometimes it just works. Sometimes Fernando Alonso steps into a car and goes, "I like this," and it really works for him, but it doesn't quite work for somebody else. It's not quite the same. Max Verstappen can finish in the top 5. Not top 5. Max Verstappen can finish number 1 every time, but Sergio Perez sometimes struggles to break the top 5.
That's true.
It's the same car, right? Or is it? That's the problem. So
they're in Monza next weekend.
I love that race.
I'm so excited for that. And that's Ferrari's home track, right? So not that they're going to be any better, but
didn't they have a double DNF last year?
Yeah,
on their home track.
So I mean, hopefully they're going to do better than that. But I mean, you got Carlos Sainz and you got Charles Leclerc. I don't know about Ferrari. They're weird. Carlos Sainz.
It's just hard to say. Man.
And by the way, Carlos Sainz has points in all but 1 race this year. So he's one of those drivers who's been good.
He was a hair from the trivia question.
He was right. So was Sergio Perez. 1 race.
Oh wait, last year no. Last year Leclerc finished 2nd and Sainz finished 4th.
At Monza?
I must be thinking of the Gran Premio d'Italia. Yep, that's the same one. Yeah, it had to be the year before then. Because
Leclerc finished 2nd. Yeah, right. Yeah, I see it.
Because there's a whole thing the year before. But no, crazy last year, I guess.
Well, in 21 at Italy 2, it was Danny Ricciardo winning.
Oh, that was because Lewis and Max crashed. And it was a 1-2 Ricciardo Norris.
And Bottas and Norris finished.
Wait, was Bottas in between the two of them?
I don't know, but they both have 18 points for some reason. That's weird.
Drama.
I don't even know how they did that.
I don't know how that happens. But
yeah, all right. Anyway, so there was that. Max Verstappen had 2 points in Monza in 2021. Anyway, okay. Anyway, so Monza is next weekend. If you want to watch a great turn 1, turn 2, that little chicane, you want to call it, whatever you want it.
Yeah.
That's one of the best ones. That's where Lewis Hamilton ended on top of Max Verstappen a couple years ago. Right?
Max landed on top of Lewis.
Max landed on top of Lewis, right. Yeah, that's right.
But who
And
is at fault? You decide.
everybody was at fault.
If
It
you
was
ask one, it was definitively the other.
and I'm not gonna lie, that was a great race to watch. Just even if I know it was turn one, it was like lap one, turn one. I get it. That's where the accident happened, but it made the rest of the race awesome because those guys are
Was
out.
it really that early in the race?
It was literally the first lap. It was
No way.
I'm not joking.
I'm looking. I gotta know.
I swear it was the first lap because there's no other reason why they'd be that close to each other.
Laps. It said Lewis Hamilton did 25 laps in.
Oh, is it that many?
It was about.
Was there a yellow
halfway
flag?
through the race.
Was there a yellow flag?
I don't know. There was a couple people
Because there had to be a reason why they were that close to each other.
had 0 laps, did not start.
Yeah,
Pierre Gasly had 3 laps, did not finish, and then the next 2 to retire were Verstappen and Hamilton, and then Mazepin in 41. Mazepin, but yeah, it was lap 25. I thought it was midway through the race. Chaos, craziness, blah 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 blah. But I thought it was midway through the race that whole thing went down.
I don't know. It doesn't show me that on here.
It seems like it was. So because there's 53 laps in the whole race and they did it on lap 25. So
I feel like I thought it was
the
earlier.
Beginning of lap 25.
But I don't know why they were bunched up like that then. That's weird because they wouldn't have been that close to each other.
Those two
normally.
were bunched up like that
A lot
because they wanted each other's heads.
Right. Well, that's true.
And Max came close to getting it at the end of that crash.
That's true. you know what I got to do?
That.
So, FYI, if you look at the screen, it says August 16th. It's August 30th, by the way.
How does that happen?
Because I didn't.
Coming to you from the past.
I didn't change it, by the way.
So, okay, I gotta tell you. Speaking of that, when I
funny.
came back from Europe in April, I kept telling people like, so in the future they do things this way because I was 9 hours ahead. I called Austin from
really?
Salzburg, and I was like, man, things are crazy here in 2023. But like the next day, like it's awesome. I just kept giving him so much crap for it. It was so much fun. Hey, look, you fixed it.
No, I didn't really. I gotta do this. Okay, I think we hit okay. Look at that. It's finished.
Everyone's gonna be so happy they now know what day it is because
I
you
mean,
didn't say it at the beginning.
Everyone was watching it, right? Because I didn't say it at the beginning, but now it's fixed. So
now they will know.
I really got to fix that overlay first because anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So that's all we got for the day. But you got a minute?
I think we did it.
Yeah. Or half a minute because we don't have much time.
Yeah, I got.
You do? Okay, go.
Yeah. Let's talk about how much grasshoppers suck. So I've been looking in.
Why do grasshoppers suck? What is that about?
Denver's currently having this issue. So last year, it got really cold in Denver. And so the ground froze. And when the ground freezes, which it normally freezes to some extent, but not this much, it froze all the grasshopper eggs, which protected them through the winter. So this year, we're getting an overabundance of grasshoppers, right?
Okay.
But now the thing is, these grasshoppers, and I can't remember grasshoppers in Tennessee all that much because maybe there wasn't that many, but you know how big cicadas were, right? Like 1.5 inches, 2 inches long, ugly, nasty creatures. There's like 3 types of grasshoppers here. There's little ones, which are maybe 1/2 inch long. There's bigger ones, which are 1 inch to 1.5 inches, classic-looking grasshoppers. Think the movie Bugs, A Bug's Life or whatever. And then there's these other ones that look like butterflies, kind of, moths type things, until they land and you realize they're grasshoppers. They can't fly, but they leap, and they kind of flap their wings and just catch a breeze and fly away. Now, let me tell you. You're walking down the street, and one of these things, catching a quick breeze, slaps into you. It freaks you out. And because there's so many of them, it's happening pretty routine. Cassie and I go on walks every night, and one of the sidewalks is slightly overgrown with grass. And, like, literally as you're walking, you're hearing them just jump and smack bushes and concrete and things like that. They're all around you. It's insane. And you know what they do? They eat the grass. That's it. But it's so hot here that the grass isn't growing anyway. So we don't even need them. They're just a pest, and every once in a while they get in the house.
I mean, that happens.
Also, I killed a cricket. I killed a cricket the other day.
Did you?
Yeah, apparently it's bad luck, but there was one in the house. I kept hearing it. I tracked it. Someone was stashing it under her bed, and I killed it. So
Nice.
but yeah, grasshoppers. I am tired of them. I was tired of moths, and now I'm tired of grasshoppers. I can't wait for winter. Just kill all the insects, freeze it over. Let's
All
go.
of them. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. There's no bees here though. The damnedest thing. No bees.
Here's this is for you, by the way.
Alligator surprised this woman tubing on the river.
Yeah, because you think all the gators should be gotten rid of.
Oh, I hate gators. Yeah.
Right. So this is gator information for you.
First of all, let's go.
Well,
Oh, it's on the thing.
He's not even hiding. He's like right there.
The thing is, most alligators don't want anything to do with him. That alligator, that head lift right there,
Right.
that would panic me.
But that's not what happened. So I guess these ladies who were oblivious to the gator. I'm like, why?
That's a pretty little gator too. That's a juvenile.
Right. He's not huge, no.
He does, and he's not moving hardly at all. He doesn't want. Most alligators don't want anything to do with humans. Most of the time, you can go swimming in rivers, and they'll just kind of go away. They don't want you.
I'm like, why would you even? I wouldn't even go inner tubing down any river in Florida or
Alabama,
wherever.
Some parts of LSU. What the hell are we thinking?
That's dumb. You're just.
It's just
dumb.
like. I get it. Manatees are cool, but are they that cool?
They're not
underwater. They're underwater elephants. They don't do anything.
They're not that cool.
Yeah, I'd rather see an actual elephant. Yeah, no, it's to continue on that theme. Alligators suck. Hopefully, the ocean and the storm that's hitting Florida washes them all out to sea.
There is a storm, right? Yeah, there's a
massive storm hitting Florida. I hope it floods the whole state, and all the alligators get sucked out in the Gulf. And then Florida becomes a sane state again. Because I have a theory that all those people are crazy because they live around dangerous predators all the time.
Okay. I don't think that's...
Well, tell me, how paranoid of a person would you be if at any given point you walked outside and there's water moccasins and alligators or, crazy, cokehead neighbors? Like, that's also a possibility in Florida. But, like, you'd be kind of paranoid, which eventually would wear down on your psyche and make you kind of a hyper person. Like, it would make you kind of like... I don't know. It'd make you a little crazy yourself.
Right.
Alligators make people crazy.
So, yeah, the hurricane's gone way past all over North Carolina now.
Oh, it's all the way in North Carolina now.
Yeah,
is this still Category 1 or whatever it was?
No, it's a tropical storm.
Oh, so it's just a light breeze for those folks.
I guess. They're used to that kind of crap.
A light 40-mile-an-hour breeze.
Yeah, with 20 inches of rain. But anyway, I mean, whatever.
I love all the Floridians who are like, California's getting flooded out, drown them, kill the liberal, and now their whole state's partially underwater.
It happens, though.
Again.
Right? Again.
Yeah.
All right. All right. That's all we got for today. I mean, really. Let me.
I think we did it. Yeah.
Let me figure out. I got a lot of stuff on here.
Wait.
What?
Quick side note.
Yeah.
Navy's O-line is outweighed by 110 pounds.
Well, Navy's O-line is terrible.
I wrote down all the weights for all their starting players, and then I made a little chart there and subtracted 110 pounds.
Phrasing.
Phrasing.
Right. I have that on here. I was going to use that last week when they talked about phrasing of how Houston, the Texans phrased that their investor was a outside limited partner.
That's how you gotta do it,
right? Because you gotta distance him from the team. He's not.
Wouldn't you?
He's not an investor. He's not a guy. He's not one of our guys. He's an outside limited partner.
I'm just saying, if somebody you knew got accused of murder, you're not going to continue to call him a really good friend on Facebook.
And I get that. It's just weird how if he had cured cancer, he's one of our investors. He's our guy.
He's a Texan through and through.
But now that he did this, he's an outside limited partner.
Yes.
We don't even know anything about him. I don't even know what you're talking about. Yeah. So it was just kind of one of those things where it's all about the phrasing. It's about
humorously expected from a company like that. You'd be like, you're going to do that.
And so that's why the phrasing comes in handy. Like, you want ants? This is how we get ants.
This is how we get ants. That's right.
Anyway. All right. So I just let's go over. I don't know if we ever got anywhere past this. So here I'm going to show you something. This is our YouTube feed. It looks like it's still that dude upside down from San Jose State. Anyway, I don't know if it is or not. I don't know what we got, but we had anyway. We are. I don't know where am I at. I gotta start some music. I gotta find the music first. Is that music? We're on YouTube every week. We're on Twitter. We're not on Twitter anymore. We're not on X anymore because I got rid of it. You know why? Because
Why?
Anyway, not worth our time, by the way. On Facebook, under the Best Lamb Sports, you can email us lambsports@gmail.com. And don't forget to go to our website, which is lambsports.com. We got our own website. I mean, I don't know. How many people have their own website? Everybody now?
Yeah, just about. It's easy.
Right, so it's garbage. We want to thank ESPN, Fox Sports, NBC Sports, ABC Sports, CBS Sports, the NBA, which we didn't talk about, the NFL, the NCAA, Formula One, and of course, the WNBA. Our sponsors, The Range in Yakima, Boss Kitty Yarns, and Stave and Stone Wine Estates in Hood River, which is our sponsor for our trivia question. You got anything else before I go off?
Negative.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
All right, so we're going to come back next week. Next week is going to be the NFL preview. So if you're expecting that this week, you didn't get it. Next week, you're going to get all NFL. That's all we're going to talk about, NFL. And maybe the F1 race. I don't know. There'll be a little bit of thing. Anyway, yeah. So next week we'll talk about all that. This has been a Brain Rock production, a division of Lonely True Media LLC. But thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week.